This presentation is focused on identifying logical fallacies or errors in reasoning. The slides are provided by our textbook company, McGraw-Hill. I have superimposed my voice so that I can talk you through a few things. As the slide before you indicates, identifying logical fallacies is somewhat difficult work, depending on how deeply you understand an argument before you, knowledge of the logical fallacies, as well as trying to develop an eye for differentiating some of the tactics that get used on us will be very helpful. On these slides, you're going to see some examples of arguments, and those arguments may contain errors in reasoning. Not every type of logical fallacy is going to be illustrated because there are hundreds. The kind of reasoning process that the McGraw-Hill editors attempt to lead us through are very helpful reasoning processes in analyzing all sorts of arguments. But in this particular program, watch for ad hominem, slippery slope, false dilemma, straw man, and begging the question. I hope you'll come away with a good understanding of those 5 fallacies for certain. So here's example number 1. The defense lawyer, Robert Baker, at the O.J. Simpson civil trial stated, "This isn't a fight for justice, it is a fight for money." When we analyze that argument, we want to first try to identify the intended conclusion. As you learned when you were studying the Toulmin method, the solidity of an argument relies on whatever inference or conclusion we make, linking the premise put down to the evidence and to the truth of the conclusion. So often we can identify fallacies by noting how the argument fails to make a solid inference. So if we look at this isn't a fight for justice, it is a fight for money, we have to ask, what is Baker's intended conclusion? While we're examining that, we can see that Baker is trying to lead the jurors to believe that the trial is not about justice. He doesn't have to argue that it's about money because it's evident in the case brought before the jurors that people are suing to get money. The next step in looking for fallacies here is to try to inspect the way the argument tries to prove the conclusion. A good argument has relevant premises that provide good evidence and lead us to see that the conclusion is true. Based on what we have here, it seems as if Baker is arguing that the trial cannot be about both, that if it's about money, it cannot be about justice. And then when we ask whether that seems to be a good argument, we also then might hypothesize, all right, in every trial, if money is involved, is it just about money and not about justice? It's a logical fallacy because it proposes that there are only 2 possible outcomes, and those are mutually exclusive. So if we look at this, it's an example of a false dilemma or a false dichotomy. As I mentioned, it's saying that money and justice are mutually exclusive, and we know that's not the case in every instance. It could be possible that the trial might be both about money and justice, and we know that often monetary penalties on someone is a way courts try to seek justice. Of course, Baker's conclusion could be true. The trial might be about money and not justice. However, this particular argument does not support that conclusion. We'd need more evidence to support the idea that all the litigants are interested in is money.